Welcome back to Straight Back on Friday. Different lineup today. We've got man like Lawless as ever, and he is joined by Mr. Potts himself. How are you, gentlemen? You both well? You both good?
Very well,
both
mate.
healthy?
Very well, mate. Yeah, I'm good. I'm liking the fact that, LB's not here, but at least Lawless has copied our kind of beard a little bit. So if we just had some hair, it's pretty much LB's here. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the way it is, man. Just beards.
Copied your beard. What are you talking about? Copied you? You got the trademark on this beard, haven't you? You got trademark.
You got it. You might not know this, Lawless, but for the first 3 months, whatever long we've been doing this now, me and Terry and LB have been told that we like triplets. Do you know what I mean? So it's just join the club, Lawless. Do you know what I mean? Get a beard like this, and you'll be sorted, mate.
Brother, honestly, I think we can all whip together. I think we should do it. I think we should get you to Turkey or get you down Harley Street. You know what I mean? Get the hair back.
Listen, I love it. I like this. You know how good being bald is, man. Except I've got a bit of sunburn. I didn't put cream on the other day, but man, I love it. Just wake up and boom, you're ready to go. No, all of that crap. Come back, lads. Come back to the good side.
I'm not gonna lie. Some days I'm like, I got to do my hair, and it's like that's when there are moments where I miss the baldness, where it's just have a shower, dry your head, bit of moisturizer, crack on.
Yeah.
But no, I get it. Lots to talk about today. Obviously, we're going to be looking ahead at this evening's games, talking England. There's some big transfer stories to get these gentlemen's opinions on. I wanted to start, though, with a subject matter that has been reading about it this morning, and it's got Turkey fans very, very angry. It's got England fans a little bit confused, but Jude Bellingham has been given a one-game suspended ban for his lewd gesture after the victory over Slovenia in the first knockout stage, where essentially he made an action towards his family jewels. He's had a one-game suspended ban. What do you boys make of this? I mean, there seems to be a big song and dance about it from the media. I've never really heard of a suspended ban at an international tournament. What's going on? What's going on?
It makes no sense. Either you're banned for the game because of what you've just done, or you're not. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're banned and you can decide when you banned? Like, what does it mean? Suspended ban? Like, we're going to suspend you, but carry on playing for now. You know, we need you in the Euros, but do you know what? We're going to decide when your ban is. Like, when is this ban then? It's crazy. I think it proves, how bad England have been when we're talking about this. I'd like to be talking about Jude Bellingham's last-minute goal and Jude Bellingham being one of the best players in the tournament and England looking like going to walk the tournament. We can't, because we've been absolutely dreadful, which I'm sure we'll get onto soon. But for me, if this has offended people, fair play. You take the ban and you move with it. But suspended ban, I've never heard of that before. Usually if you've done something, you get a free match ban or a match ban, and it usually is straight away. I don't really know what this suspended ban is. Has that ever happened before? Have we ever had anyone that's been banned from football, but it's been a suspended ban? So they decide what games he misses, and what games are they that he misses? What is the game he misses? Is it a friendly? Is it the next tournament that we play? Is it the next qualifier that we play? I don't get it. It makes no sense to me.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a mad one. That one, I don't know. Is there written rules down saying don't grab your balls, on camera or something? Is there a rule, or if they just went, that looks dodgy, you're suspended, mate?
Do you know what's weird about? Do you remember when Wayne Rooney got banned? And I want to say it was one game. It might have actually been more. When he did sort of the cameraman for maybe one of the first times ever in Premier League football, actually jumped into the middle of a team celebrating a goal, and Rooney sort of looked at the camera and said, he might have said "F you" to the haters or something like that. And I remember Petr Cech talking about it. He got asked about it. I don't know why Petr Cech was asked about it, but he was. And he just said, if you stuck the camera in the middle of most goal celebrations, it'd be full of swearing. You hear swearing all the time at football. I don't quite understand why suddenly it's a bad thing. Swearing goes on all the time. The amount of times the camera pans to a player and he's shouting F off at a referee, yet nothing happens. And then suddenly someone makes a gesture, and it's almost, I don't even understand why it warrants a one-game ban. I really, really don't personally.
I understand it being some sort of issue, though, because they are, when you look at their role models, you've got youngsters watching. Do you know what I mean? It's a product of all ages, right? So it's families watch it, young girls and young boys, and you've got a guy there going to the camera grabbing his balls. It's not nice. It's not something you want the youngsters to see. Maybe we're making too much of it, but it should be a thing of don't do that again. That's not something.
I think that's what it is. I think this people in chat saying that's what this suspended ban is, because obviously you do it again, you get, well, what do you call it a suspended ban for then? Just give them a warning. It's the same thing. Do that again.
Oh, yeah, it's like suspended sentence in
Like a
prison.
suspended sentence, they're saying. So
Yeah.
if that's the way it is, then fair play. But why are they calling it a suspended ban? Just call it a warning. So you do that again, mate, you'll miss a get.
Yeah,
You'll get
yeah. It's
I mean, weird.
It is weird, and obviously there's the controversy because the Turkish centre back, why does his name elude me now?
Demiral.
He's obviously been given a 2-game ban for. I mean, I'm going to be really honest with you, gentlemen. And I've got Turkish friends, I've got Turkish people around me. I had no idea about this wolf hand symbol. And obviously, a lot of Turkish supporters of Turkey and a lot of general football fans can't quite understand why Bellingham's not been suspended, essentially, because he's not going to miss a game. And the Turkish centre-back is going to miss the next 2 games. So that's going to be like if Turkey do well and make the final, he'll be back. But he's going to miss a quarter-final tomorrow and potentially a semi-final over this gesture. And it depends who you talk to. You know, we were talking backstage, and you know, you gents were saying, you know, Turkish people that are saying it's absolutely outrageous he's been banned for it. As I've said, you know, I've done some research online. I've spoke to some of people I know that are Turkish who have said no, it's a sort of fascist nationalistic symbol. And I'm not going to pass judgment on it because I'll be honest with you, I don't know about you two. I have no idea of its origin other than reading a few websites, and the fact that I've got Turkish friends and 2 different groups of Turkish friends see it completely differently. Me as someone who isn't Turkish, I almost, and uneducated on the matter, I almost find it difficult to actually have a debate about it. But I do understand the Turkish frustration that some Turkish people don't even think the wolf sign's an issue. So yeah, it's UEFA again. It seems like they've made a bit of a mess of all of this.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because UEFA, you know, they're getting involved in Turkish politics and taking a standpoint of, we view this, you know, unless they've got a Turkish representative who has said this and is inside, but you're looking at something that objectively you're on the outside of, you know what I mean, when it comes to these sort of symbols, and you're choosing to interpret it as he's being fascist. It's a bit of a gray area. It's a bit of a minefield to be able to say that and go, yeah, like he's being fascist. Like I said, I'm as educated as you are on it, Terry. So there may be Turkish people that live in Turkey that can say, yeah, then people that use that symbol, it's like the you know, sea cow thing and all of that stuff. Is it that level? I don't know, but I saw a lot of Turkish people unhappy.
Yeah, I mean, I get this is, I mean, it is about education, but I don't think it's about just listening to one side of the story. It's about seeking multiple sources, listening to multiple breakdowns. I mean, there's been other times at Euros where when Albania have been involved and people have done sort of the bird eagle sign thing, and obviously for me, so ignorant to why that would offend people. I'm not saying it isn't offensive, but it's there. And even in the comment sections, you literally, these are one comment after the other. It says it's not a fascist symbol, followed by the very next comment that says it's a far right nationalistic symbol. Now, again, I'm not going to get political on the terrorist, because I think unless you have a deep objective understanding of the situation, I think it's ridiculous to sort of start passing judgment. I'm just stating I'm not too sure if that. What I will say is this: you can already just see in our chat that there is a split between whether people think the wolf gesture is right or wrong. Therefore, I don't think it can be compared to Jude Bellingham's, because let's just say it is wrong, or the wolf symbol. You can't compare that to a lewd gesture, which I don't think the two things are comparable in terms of their severity. But I suppose this is the issue. Like, football always says that it's not getting involved in politics, but then it'll make a decision like this to ban somebody over something that's political. And as you say, if they had a different representative, maybe at UEFA, that saw it a different way, he might be fine to do it. So I always feel it's one of those things. You've either got to ban every element of politics from football, or you've got to allow everything. I don't like the one thing I will agree with. I don't like the picking and the choosing, if that makes sense, because we all see things differently.
Yeah, like, he's not. Again, if he's obviously aligned with a certain party in Turkey, you know, is that illegal in football? You know, you can't be a part of that political side. You've got to be part of these political sides. You know, so I think as long as he's not, you know, really, you know, abusing anyone, being racist or doing anything like that, you know, it's hard to then take a side and go, right, you're banned because you're associated with this party. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird one. And so I can see why people would be offended, because they're getting involved. Or just ban everything political. Say just across the board, we want nothing political in football. Any political standpoint you make, it's one of them.
Well,
ones.
and then you get rid of, and then the poppy goes off shirts, and people get angry about that. Someone actually asked me about that the other day when we were here. I was talking to a German fella, and we're just getting into talking football and issues and politics and stuff. And he just said, "What's your?" It was the most random. I never expected. I don't know why I didn't expect a German person to say it to me. Maybe I didn't think they'd be familiar with the debate. And he said, "What do you feel about people like not wearing poppies?" I said, well, I sort of, poppies for me represents people from World War I and World War II. And I was like, well, they fought for freedom. So therefore you have the freedom not to wear it. Thus, I'm not angry. And he's like, And then we moved on. And that's, I suppose, how I view all these things. But there we go. Viewers, give us your thoughts. Give us your feelings. And I know when people ban other things as well. And listen, I get it. And I think that's my point. It's a can of worms. And I'm not going to go into it any more than we already have done as of right now. But as I say, I don't have education. It's not even about being afraid of the conversation. It's I don't have the education on it. So it's irresponsible to start delving into more detail.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I don't know enough about this party or whatever he's representing to really.
No, I agree. I agree.
That's why I you know what I'm saying?
No,
because we don't know enough about the politics of it all.
No, exactly. 110%. Viewers, hit the like and the share button for us. How do you guys think it's going to go tomorrow for England? What are you saying, Potsy?
Well, I think there's a lot of rumours that he wants to change the system, and I'm all for that, because I'm done watching this dross. This system is not working. The players that he has put out there, in my opinion, have not worked. The balance is all wrong. The players, some of which are out of position. I think sometimes you've got to look at the individuals. Some of them have got to hold it L in terms of their individual performances, but also it's up for the manager to change it if you're watching that dross. And I don't think he's been proactive enough with that. I think if he does go to this system, though, it will actually improve some of the play, I think, individually. What I mean by that is if we are going to go with a three at the back, I reckon he'll probably play Saka and Trent Alexander-Arnold as the wing-backs. And I quite like that. I've seen Saka on the left before. I think Trent is an unbelievable player. And I think Gary Neville was pretty much spot on when he said that it was a crime not to play Trent Alexander-Arnold, who I think is generational. Also, it brings Foden back into the mix in the middle. I think in the centre is where he needs to be. You've got Rice and Bellingham that you can keep there. And then you've got an option. You can either play Palmer or Gordon, or you can play Tony with Kane. So I think it gives another option. I think it will allow us to be a little bit more free-flowing. The problem you've got is I just don't have any faith or trust in this manager. I said Switzerland would beat us, and I'm going to stand by that if the performance is very similar to what I've seen. If we change it up and the system changes and it works, of course we should beat Switzerland. We've got the quality out there that should be able to quite comfortably. But if we play like way we have, Terry, I'll tell you this now, Switzerland, they ain't no mugs. They've been very good, in my opinion, this tournament. And I look at them and I feel like there's not going to be a breeze or walk in the park. And England have got to turn it on. And Gareth Southgate's got to turn it on. None of this last minute bringing Tony on and waiting for Bellingham to overhead kick again. Like, we do that again, we're going out, mate. Like, that's for sure. They're better than Serbia. They're better than all the players we've had. Slovakia, all these teams that we've done so far. So, yeah, I don't know what Lourdes thinks, but I've got no faith in Gareth Southgate whatsoever. I don't think there's any proactiveness from any of his subs. The minute we went 2-1 up with Harry Kane, what did he do? He brought on Gallagher and Konza. Come on, lads, shore it up again now. It's 2-1. Come on. He has got no attack mind at all. With one of or some of the best attack-minded players available to him. Can you imagine a manager coming into a job internationally and going, you know that guy who's up for the Ballon d'Or who's just won the Champions League and the league? You've got him. He's English. You know that lad who's just won a treble and is now player of the season in the Premier League? You've got him. You know that lad who got golden boots for the last 3 years at Spurs and has now just done it at Bayern Munich? You've got him up top. You know that kid that everyone's talking about on the right-hand side for Arsenal? He's English as well. That lad that Arsenal have just signed in the middle, Declan Rice, for £100 million. You got him as well. I'd be like, you're kidding. This is going to be brilliant. This is going to be an easy tournament to play attack-minded football. And we watched that dross. It's an embarrassment, mate. Like, for me, poor. So I think he's going to have to change it up. 3 at the back. Try Saka and Trent as the wing-backs. Keep Bellingham and Rice in there. And then decide what you want to do after Foden in the 10. Do you go with Tony and Kane? Or do you go with something different, maybe Palmer and Kane or something like that? But for me, that's what's got to happen, bro. That's what's got to happen.
You know, I'm a bit nervous. I think it's great that he's changing it up. We've been calling it for a while, but I'm a bit nervous that it's coming now at a quarter final. Is now he's chose to change it up. Do you know what I mean? Like from game one. In fact, before that against Iceland, you know, we've seen the issues there, and the group stages would have been a great time to change things up. Now, you know, the biggest challenge of the tournament is the time where he's looking to change things, and I find it quite amusing that the players have been gaslighting fans and pundits and all of this stuff afterwards when they scrape a win against teams we should comfortably beat. You know, they're giving it all of this and all of that and running their mouths in the media. Now, obviously, there's a problem because we're having to change things because what we've been doing isn't working. So yet they act like, why are you all complaining? Why we're winning? Like, get behind the team. Not enjoying what we're seeing. And if he can change the system all he wants. If it's the same crap of let's score a goal and just sit on that and just pass it sideways and backwards, I don't care what the formation is. It's going to be the same crap. So, like, yeah, I agree with pretty much most of what Potts says. Like, now, flex those muscles. It's good that Potts boy Xhaka, I think, is missing this game, right? He's not playing.
Oh, is
No,
he?
he's gonna. No, I read someone told me yesterday he's gonna be fit. Someone said he's going to be fit.
Yeah. So okay. Well, he's fit. Yeah. So it's going to be a game now. The lineup is going to be very interesting to see what he goes for, but it's all about the approach to the game for me. It's honestly, the games have bored me to tears. You know how bad it was, right? I was so checked out. The last game, I didn't even realize it was on. Like I checked on it and it was finished. And I see everyone talking about it like, oh, what an ending. And I was like, oh shit, it was on. That's how much I was checked out.
Yeah, that's crazy. I do get that. I mean, it's just been so the performances have been so underwhelming. But we're there. And if look, they talk about going three at the back, as you've mentioned. They talk about Saka playing as a left wing back, which I think is better than the idea of him playing an actual left back because he's still going to be in an attacking role. We need width in this team. We need to better spread and open our teams up.
Potts, did you think that Ian Wright was a disgrace to Arsenal for suggesting that Saka go left back and he should never talk about Arsenal again and need to get him out of it?
No, I thought that was a mad reaction. Like Saka, the thing is, right, if he would have said Saka needs dropping for Palmer because he's been poor, I could understand why people might have come for him because I don't think Saka has been a shambles. I think the whole team have been a pretty shocking, if I'm honest. I've seen Saka do some good things. I've seen Rice do some good things. I've seen Rice have a bad game. I've seen Saka have a bad game. So I would have understood that. Kieran Trippier cannot play at left back. There is absolutely no way I want to see that guy playing at left back. Yes, he's got a good delivery, but where does it come? When he cuts back inside and whips it in on his right foot, he's got no overlap. He's got no width whatsoever. The whole of that left-hand side, there is no cohesion. Foden has been shambolic, in my opinion. And I love Foden, but he has been awful. And that left-hand side needs changing. So for me, if Saka comes in straight away, in my opinion, playing him at left back, I thought we had more balance. I thought we looked better there. I thought they had an option there. I thought someone was taking his man on from the outside. Trippier cannot play there, man. And I've been a fan.
You're cancelled next, Potts. You're cancelled in the Arsenal fan base.
Well, listen, I've been fighting, brother. I've been fighting my fan base for about 5-6 years now, so don't worry about that.
Who is it that went for Ian Wright? Was it the TPFs, the toxic positivity crowd? Was it those guys?
Yeah,
yeah, man. Listen, anytime you say something bad about the club, you will get people come for you. Right, and I didn't think he was saying bad on the club.
Left back is even bad. Is that bad?
I don't think so. I thought he was good, bro.
Yeah, I sort of looked at it. I thought it was such an overreaction towards Wrighty. For me, it was a case of he was kind of thinking out loud.
Yes,
and I know it was live on TV, but it's what we do sometimes on podcasts. And people forget the trolls per se that watch. Sometimes you can start off with a thought. But even within 10 minutes of discussing it with one another, you're sort of changing your tune because you're talking and thinking something out loud because you didn't play. We have a base idea of what we're going to talk about, but none of us know what we're going to say. Something could break, and you start spitballing, and that's what I think. What Wrighty just meant is maybe we should look at trying to get him over to that left-hand side. He can hold the width. He didn't maybe word it right, but I think people ran with it and went crazy. Trippier can't play there, and Luke Shaw isn't fit. Joe Gomez. He's had a good season, but he's not going to go on the outside and create width because Foden inverts. And it's more of a case of it's either Saka needs to go onto the left-hand side or Foden needs to be dropped and someone like Gordon has to go out there, because you can't have two players on the same side inverting. You just can't. And I do feel the reaction towards Wright was wrong. And if he ends up starting Saka on the left-hand side, and we do, imagine we actually do this straight at the back. Saka starts as left wing back. Foden and Bellingham both go more central, and we end up cooking. Just say we do. What are they going to say to Wrighty then? What are they going to say to Wrighty then, if indeed it works?
They better.
Yeah, they better.
Because they've been pulling up old things that he said. They've been trying. Literally, it's been like this campaign of slander. I don't even. And this is the thing. I know it's big because I don't follow a ton of Arsenal accounts. You know what I mean? Just my mates and things like that. So, but it's been. I see it everywhere. So it's got traction and like doing everything to slander him. Like
this is one of the best players we've ever had, by the way, as well.
Well, but you get a lot of it. You also get like a lot of the Arteta outers hate Wrighty because he does the sort of, you know, the club PR and says nice things. And it was suddenly like the negative Nellies and the toxic positivity crowd, they all kind of came together. You know, like when the Germans and the English played football in no man's land on Christmas during World War I. It was like a little moment of unity where
and Ian Wright was the ball.
Yeah, Ian Wright was getting kicked everywhere. And all he did was make a suggestion. And I think if you was, that's the problem with TV. They don't have enough time. I guarantee you he isn't married to the idea of playing him there. It's just this start with that as a base and try and build a team out from it. And you look at this example of going 3 at the back with him playing left. I mean, we know most left wing backs, right wing backs in football, when you actually play wing backs, they're more like forwards anyway. Look at Frimpong on the right-hand side at Leverkusen. So you would still you might actually get a better version of Saka, because at the moment, with the way we're playing, he's just being marked out of games because our left-hand side is so weak. It could help him. He could perform better. He could make England better. But for some weird reason, there are some Arsenal fans who are, we need him on the right and needs to cook on the right so we can say he's the best right attacker in the. I don't care about that. I want England to get better.
Yeah, same.
Them fans, if Arteta ever plays Saka anywhere other than right wing, I better see them turn Arteta out. If you're Arteta in and you was getting on Wrighty's back and he plays Saka anywhere but right wing, you better switch the Arteta out with the energy that you've had. That's
we always need a villain in our fan base, bro. We always need a villain in our fan base. I've said that for a while. That's why the Arsenal fan base have struggled to unite over the years, because there's always somebody else to blame. There's never any normal conversation you can have in our fan base. There always has to be a finger pointed. The reason we're losing is because of AFTV. I had that for years. AFTV, that's the reason we're losing. Now we're winning. AFTV need to get the praise then, because now Arsenal are winning. Must be AFTV. Thank you, AFTV, because you're the reason we're winning. Crazy. Yeah,
of course.
There's always been
of course.
You know,
and Robbie sold out and become positive and doesn't really mean what he says anymore. So it must be because of his positivity, right? Sarcasm, exactly, for anybody wondering. Yeah, well done, Robbie.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And, you know, and then when it isn't AFTV, it's, I don't know, the We Care Do You that came out. There's the Ashburn Army. It's their fault. The Ashburn Army. There's always somebody to point the finger at. Now it's right.
North London Forever. That dirty song, as they said, it ruined us.
Now we've sung North London Forever. That's their. There's always a finger to be pointed, man. It's a weird fan base at times. It really is. But I just wish we could all actually unite and want to win. But you can't. You know, listen, I'm all for a difference of opinions and how we win and how we get there. But I just find it bizarre that you have this real hatred for a certain social media influencer or a channel or a area of the stadium or a song that we sing or a group of people that are part of the stadium. It must happen at other clubs as well. I'm sure it's not just Arsenal, but I find that so bizarre, man. Like, who the hell cares? Yeah. Just win football games.
The weirdest one I find is the song. The outrage I have. Like, I had someone DM me a while back because I said, why are Arsenal on a match reaction? I said, why do some Arsenal fans hate North London Forever? Now, again, I ain't going to listen to this. I mean, listen, I think we all find that people that have done like West Ham probably think singing about bubbles is a bit childish. Do you get what I mean? Like,
it's not about bubbles. The song's not about bubbles. It's about your dreams. You know what I mean? And
yeah, but you have a bubble machine like my kids do in the back garden. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? You have a bubble machine. Now, what I'm saying is, I think everybody views other clubs' chants and things as a bit cheesy and cringy. So I agree. I totally agree. We may find it, but I've got a friend. Like, I ain't really a friend. He's a friend. Really, I shouldn't say that. And he messaged me saying, "I hate it as well. It's a dirty song." And I'm like, bruv, I know you for a long time, and your favorite genre is like rap and hip hop. He went, yeah. I said, brother, those songs rap about drugs and women and hoes and da 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 da. You went, yeah. And you're offended by a song that talks about a brass house. You went, yeah, but it's just not the same. I went, it's exactly the same.
Is that about what the song's about?
No,
So
it's not about that.
No, it's not about. What's it say? And you'll get this. You're from London. You're from the areas, right? Essentially, he's singing about everything that's in North London, and we all know if you walk down any high street in a sort of normal area of London, not a posh area, there's a sauna. We all know where they are in a local town.
Yeah.
There's a sauna shop.
The brass is the brothel that pretends to be a sauna is the lyrics, and people are offended by that. And the homeless on the green. That's part of the lyric, but it's not. It's not in the stadium. It doesn't stay that in the stadium.
No,
the whole song. If you listen to the whole 6-minute song, however bloody long it is, there are lyrics in it that suggest that there's homeless people on the green, which there is. It suggests that there is brasses at the brothel that pretend to be a sauna, which there is. It talks about the Angel, which is the actual name of the song. Everyone thinks it's called North London Forever. It's actually called The Angel by Louis Dunford. So people actually don't know. They just hear it and just like.
I thought it was supposed to be all about how great North London is. Not like we got homeless people.
It's the history of love.
But it is. But it is about that in the sense of it's not perfect. There's problems, but it's my place. That's how as an outsider listening, I'm like,
correct.
I kind of get it as an example, but it's people that are angry with it, and I would love people to go and show me their playlist on what was Spotify, iTunes, whatever. There is no way that if you listen to rock music as a general thought, you've definitely had songs that have similar sort of meanings to them, because these artists are all from working class backgrounds. How can they write about things they know but not talk about that element? But yeah, the point I'm making is I've seen people angry over it, and I think, how?
Do they not listen to Eminem then? Do they not listen to Snoop and Dre and Eminem and 50 Cent? Like, come on, man. Like, it's embarrassing. People are,
I'll give anyone who hates The Angel, I call it North London Forever. I'm not anyone who hates that song because it talks about dirty things. I hope you're only listening to Josh Groban, bro. I hope you're only listening to pick like the church choir music. I guarantee you're not. I guarantee you're not.
Some Arsenal fans, I think, don't like it because it's not. It seems like it's trying too hard to be Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? It's not part of their match day. It's not Arsenal. It's the same way, like with our fan base, when people suggest, "Oh, we need to try and get a drum in." A lot of West Ham fans are like, no, that's not West Ham. We don't fucking do this drum bullshit. Leave that to Palace's fake ultras. Do you know what I mean? That's not our identity.
See, they're cringe. They're cringe, but not blowing kids' bubbles. No.
Listen, that's a little entertainment. You got a fucking bloke who dresses up as a fluffy red devil at your ground. Do you know what I mean? Like, grown man.
But you know what? I know. Hang on, you have someone who dresses up as a hammer.
Yeah, hammer. At least hammers are real.
You know what's funny? Do you know what's funny? Well, do you know what's really funny? I used to have a girl that worked in my branch at Barclays. She was a cashier. Her boyfriend was the hammer. He was the hammer. He was the hammer. He was the hammer.
Wow.
And she went on. She was one of the last people ever to appear on Soccer AM as like a soccerette before they cut that part. Yeah, she went on there as well, and that was her like. That was a tag in that her boyfriend was the mascot at West Ham. But as I say, like, listen, I'm not going to lie. Actually, I actually quite like West Ham song. I think it's a good song. And yeah, so that's this song, mate. Yeah, I don't find it cringe personally. I actually quite like clubs traditions, even though they're not my clubs. I kind of I like seeing it, and I think not all traditions have to be old. I think you can create new traditions. Like when Fergie retired on his last day, it doesn't have to be Russell Watson singing it, but we sung The Impossible Dream, and I sort of felt like I felt like that would be a great anthem to have whilst coming out. And some Man United fans agreed. I was still a season ticket then. Some were like, "No, we don't do that here," and I'm like, I get we don't, but once upon a time, people don't know this. "You'll Never Walk Alone" was Man United's song before Liverpool took it off us. Liverpool stole that off Man United. We were singing it first. And then they started doing it. Some of these
things happen organically. I think North London Forever didn't, again, Potts might know, but it doesn't feel organic. It feels like, all right, I'm going to make this song and it's going to be all about North London. Everyone's like, oh, we need to have that as our anthem, and just pushed it. Do you know what I mean? Rather than like,
it's because we've never had one that we all sing together before the game. We've never had that before. Like we used to at Highbury when I used to go when I was younger, we used to sing songs, but it was all different songs that we have. We never had one that 35,000 people at Highbury all sung. And I think that is where Mikel Arteta has tried to unite the fan base. And to be fair to him, he has brought the place up and it's rocking again now. The atmosphere is there. Winning helps, of course. But I think that song definitely has taken more likes by Arsenal fans than hate by Arsenal fans. Because
most clubs don't have that, though. Most clubs don't have the song, the anthem before the game.
No, absolutely. But that's what Mikel Arteta wanted to bring in, was something that we could all sing before the game, like You Never Walk Alone. And blowing bubble making,
bring in the dog, didn't he?
Whatever it's called, bubble making clubs that sing bubbles in the air, whatever it's called. So yeah, that's what they wanted.
Sorry. Your songs have to be on the nose. They have to say, "Oh, it's North London." It can't any sort of subtext or allegory. You know, if it says bubbles, it couldn't mean something other than bubbles. But
does that get you up for the game? Does that get you up for the game, Lawless? Blowing bubbles, seeing bubbles in the air. Do you get excited by that?
Do you ever bring to the game? You know, you get those things, you dip it in the bubbles and you blow it. Do you ever bring one of them along?
No,
I
don't think they even sell them. I don't think
they have a machine. They have a machine only now, Terry.
I get
emotional because it's like I'm forever blowing bubbles. And it's about I'm forever dreaming dreams that fade and die. They don't come true. We're dreams.
Yeah, I suppose that wouldn't work at Man United because our dreams have come true. So
well, not anymore, do they? So maybe you want to take it on. Never Walk Alone. Now you should start singing bubbles.
Originally, I think You Never Walk Alone originally was a Broadway West End musical style song. It's from that genre of music, I think.
Yeah.
But it was weird because I got like family members I'm close to. One of my cousins who's a bit older than us, and every family party on his side of the family, they always sort of played that song at the end, and it's annoying because although it's a Liverpool song, and I dislike it for that reason, it does remind me of a lot of my family that have now passed, that were always at those parties as kids and things like that. So it's one of those frustrating songs, but that's what happens. You've got a family where you've got a massive mixture of football fans. Like songs have different types of meanings.
Got a new song, haven't they? Man United singing that TLC song, Waterfalls. That's what they're singing, isn't it?
There was one at the Euros, wasn't it? That must have gave you, one of the European stadiums. I did.
Yeah, breaking news as we're live. Fabrizio has just tweeted that Arsenal have agreed terms of Riccardo Calafiori's contract, valid until 2029. Arsenal and Bologna are discussing a fee as request remains around 50 million euros. FC Basel will receive 50% of that sale, but Fabrizio has now confirmed that the personal terms are fully agreed until 2009. Potsy, there are some gooners that still don't think this is happening. Surely this deal is going to get over the line. What's your opinion, bro?
Bloody hope so, mate. When you're linked with someone for a few days, and I've been there before where you're linked. I think Jan and Veer, he must have passed his medical by now. Higuain, he must have passed his Arsenal medical by now. Karim Benzema's another one. He must have. Salomon Kalou, we were linked with him for about 5 seasons running. He must have passed his medical by now. So I have seen it before. However, this one does sound good. When Fabrizio Romano's tweeting that, it sounds very good indeed. I know for a fact that we're really, a lot of Arsenal fans are talking about this one now being fairly exciting. I'm not going to be naive enough to say that I know a lot about him, Terry, but everything that I hear about him is good things. I know that people were talking about his Euros performance, how good he was, very comfortable on the ball. I think Arsenal will play him at left back. He can play left centre back as well. He's very good ball carrier from what I can see. His passing range is there. I think his long range of passing is pretty good as well. But he's a proper good defender, man. And when you get... I was trying to think because 90% of the Italian centre-halves or defenders stay in Italy. So I'm really surprised at this one because I think Juventus and a few other clubs were looking at him as well in Italy. And most of the Italian defenders over the years have stayed in Italy. The top quality ones I'm talking about as well. So, I think this could be a very promising signing. He's very young. He's 22 years old. I was having a conversation with Staffy and Mo Salah last night on my channel who believe that they wouldn't be surprised if Gabriel is the one that they look to long-term replace. Now, I don't think we're breaking that partnership up for a while yet. Let me tell you that. But if you're looking at Saliba's age and Calafiori's age, they're both similar. I think they're both 22 years old. So it could be that if he is to be a centre-back in the future, that he could be long-term there for Arsenal. But I think he's going to come in and be a left-back. He's very versatile. A lot of people will then question mark what that means for Jurriën Timber. but he has had a long ACL injury. We don't know what we're going to get from Jude Timber this coming year. So I think there could be definite competition for places there. And also he can play in a number of positions as well. We've got quite versatile players now along that back line. If you look at what Tomiyasu has been for Arsenal, it's been right back, left back, centre back. Also, you look at what Ben White has been. I think you look now at what Timber is, and Calafiori is in that bracket as well. So, yeah, I like the signing. I think it's one that Mikel Arteta and Edu have clearly looked at and highlighted. And I'm really happy that he wants to come and join the project, because it could be quite hard, Terry, for Calafiori to look at the options and think, do you know what? There's an opportunity or potential opportunity here for first-team football elsewhere. You're guaranteed first-team football at some of the other clubs that might have been interested. Manchester United might be one of them. Chelsea, to be fair, at the back, not really set and settled. With Chilwell there, Cucurella done much better of late, but Chelsea were interested. He might have looked at that option and thought, I can play first-team football. What I like about it is he feels like he's been sold the project by Edu and Arteta to come in and actually look to go and move forward with Arsenal. So I think this will be a good signing. I actually don't think it's an amazing amount of money. A lot of people will say that's mad money, 50 million euros. It works around about 42 million pounds, I think, for a defender at 22 who's highly rated, that's versatile. I don't think that's that much at all, if I'm honest with you. So when you look at what Jared Branthwaite's now worth, 80 million pounds, I think this could be a very, very clever signing. So yeah, I'm okay with this one, Terry, if this happens, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, packs out your squad depth for sure. But someone made a good point, and it brings me back to when we signed Scamacca. There was a lot of talks of Italian players in the Premier League and, you know, how they get homesick. And I was like, nah, like, come on, like, Scamacca's going to be up for it. It's the Premier League. And he did. And he got homesick and he went back to Italy. So there is that. I think there's a risk. And that's why we see, like, you know, like you said yourself, you don't see many Italian defenders, you don't see many Italian players coming over to the Prem. So that is the worry. You know, he's a young lad as well. You know, I mean, if he does come over and, you know, he gets homesick and ends up wanting to leave, and I don't know what the resale value will be. Luckily, he's young, so you could get a bit of resale value. But if you sell him back to an Italian club, you're probably making a loss on him. So, but it's good for your squad depth, like you said, squad depth. I didn't see that as a massive area you really needed to improve on. I think that's probably one of your deeper areas when it comes to depth, is the defense. But yeah, like, look, if it's not gonna impact your transfer budget too much, then yeah, it's not a bad thing. You can still address those other areas. Do you know what I mean? And it's a weird one if you are. I don't know if you're going to primarily play him as a left back. Like I think really, if you want to get Zinchenko out and get a proper left back, really, rather than play this guy who he's a centre back, but he can play left back. Maybe he's going to give you more defensive style when you're going against teams that are maybe going to offer more threat down that left-hand side and you want to have it shore up, maybe in that situation. But you might want someone that can defend, but offer a good outlet going forward as a left back.
We're gonna have to get rid of a couple of players in that position now. Nuno Tavares, apparently they're looking at Ajax are looking at him. Just need to get rid of him for a few million. We're not going to get much more back from him. Kieran Tierney's got a long-term injury, they say now, from his Scotland injury the other week. Another player who seems to be injured. I don't know how we're going to get rid of him now. And if we're going to get any money for him at all, if, you know, those injuries keep happening. So that's one player we might end up having to either keep in the squad or try to loan out again. And then obviously Jakub Kiwior. Now, I would rather keep Kiwior in the squad because we need somebody to play left centre back behind Gabriel. We can't sell everybody. And I think you need 8 really. You need 4 centre halves and you need 4 fullbacks, 2 right, 2 left. And I think with Ben White and Tomiyasu at right back, centre backs now of Saliba, Gabriel and Kiwior. And then of course you've got Timber and Zinchenko and Calafiori. Now, I would 100% sell Zinchenko. I just don't know if there's a bid that's going to come in. Anything close between 25-30, I'd just get rid of him. I just don't rate him defensively enough, if I'm honest. He's not my sort of player. I like him on the ball. Offensively, he's good. And I think what he does on going forward is good. And maybe there's a place for him in midfield. People have spoken about him playing there for Ukraine. But at left back, it ain't for me. But yeah, I think if we were to sign someone, it would have been, for me, my preference would have been somebody to cover Saliba when he gets a knock, not another player who can play at left back. But I like the player himself, Calafiori. So if we do get rid of a couple of players like Zinchenko or Kiwior, if he's upgrading on them, that's cool. But I'm still looking at Saliba thinking, I bloody hope you don't get injured, because we have got like Ben White and Tomiyasu that can play there, but they're not really right-sided centre-backs. So yeah, to go for another left-sided defender is one that perhaps surprised me a bit. but I'm not surprised by the player. I think he's sounding very, very promising.
I see someone saying that last season was the first time he played centre back. So if he is traditionally left back, why did he play centre back? That's what I'd be interested to know. Why was he playing the whole season as a centre back, and how is he good as he is a left back? You know, what are his qualities that make him like that left back where you won't need to sign someone else, or he's going to be like, because I see some suggestions of Timber on at right back and him at left back. You know, would you be happy with that? Is that good enough for a team that wants to win the title? You know, you want the best players in the best positions, and rather than all this makeshift, we have to move Timber, even though he's better as a left back, to right back, so Calafiori can play left back rather than.
I don't think Ben White's not moving from right back. He's been phenomenal for the last 2 years, so he's going to play right back. It'll be Saliba at right centre back, Gabriel left centre back, and then it will be Timber or Calafiori at left back for me. And then you've got the Tomiyasus that can come in and cover, Timber or Calafiori who doesn't play to cover, and Kivior at the moment, if he stays, to cover. My problem is I don't think we have a right-sided centre-back that can come in and slot in like Saliba does. And if that's Ben White, cool. He's a good player there, but he's nothing like Saliba. You've got to try to get a player, and that's difficult as well, to get not as bad of a drop-off from Saliba if he does get a knock. Because we saw what happened the season before last. When Saliba got injured, we had Rob Old in there, and it was just a disaster, So you'd like to think that Timber and Ben White would come in, Tomiyasu would come in and be better than Rob Holding. That's not my qualm. But if we was to get a couple of injuries like we did Tomiyasu and Saliba at the same time, if we was to get Ben White and Saliba injured, who is playing there? Tomiyasu and Timber, or how does it work? So that's where I'm at. But listen, we've got cover, and it's a department that I'm not absolutely worried about. I've got areas of midfield and up top that I'm more worried about than defence. That's for sure.
Grey Wolf's Dinner here, who's a Chelsea fan, says red flag is that Juventus and even his former manager aren't that fussed about missing out on him. Do you see it as Juve are not that fussed, or is it a case of they can't afford the player in the same way you can, or maybe Arsenal just turned his head in a better way?
I hope that's the latter is the case. I don't know that Juventus have looked at him and scoffed at him and gone, what an absolute shambles of a defender he is. At the same time, I don't know that they haven't done that. But I hear good things, and I would be very shocked if Italian clubs weren't looking at him. I like to think that he's looked at the project at Arsenal and thinks, do you know what, I'd like to come over to England. I'd like to fight for the Premier League title, and I'd like to play Champions League football. And I think people forget Bologna was actually really good last season. Thiago Motta is now the Juventus manager. Obviously, Bologna have got a couple of players there. Joshua Zirkzee, I think, linked with yourself, Terry, as well. A player that's done very well over there. And, we've got a good relationship with Bologna. That's how we signed Tomiyasu, who was at Bologna before. That was a good signing for us, to be fair. I know he's had a few injury problems, but when he has played for Arsenal, he's been very good. So I'd like to think that those are the reasons that we've got him, and that he does well at Arsenal if he comes. And I've got a lot of hope for this lad, because I hear good things, man.
Apparently, he missed a lot of games with knee injury. He has a history of knee problems. He missed over 568 games.
He'll do Arsenal fine then.
That's the case. Yeah, that's always a worry, is injuries. But yeah, we'll see. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, I didn't. It's funny enough. I know we were talking earlier. Some Arsenal fans online don't think it was going to happen. I said in the early days of this story, I never disregard the foreign press, and I know Fabrizio is a technically foreign media, but he's so integrated in the UK press now as well. I never disregard them. I just sort of bank it. But it is rare for young Italian players that are tipped to be as good as him to leave. In fact, it's rare that the top Italian players leave Italy altogether. But it has happened. You've got Verratti, who went to PSG and had a very good career there, as an example. And, Jorginho, been a very good player for Italy in recent years. Excuse me. Been a long week. It came out to Italy as well. So I'm very, very intrigued to see how this works out. I've read a lot of excellent scouting reports on him before the Euros begun as well. This isn't, and I suppose there might be a little worry for Arsenal fans around, is this an international tournament hype?
Yeah,
but this doesn't feel like that to me. This feels as though this is someone that Arsenal have been monitoring for a while. And I bet if we go back and look at old reports, you'll probably find his names come up in the last year. It's just that not a lot of people knew who the fuck he was.
Yeah,
and the Euros are sort of highlighted. And Joshua Zirkzee, you mentioned him. The reports that have come out today are suggesting that deal is imminent, that deal is very, very close to happening. I feel a bit sorry for Bologna, who had a very good season by their own sort of looking at their own history and standards, have lost, potentially are going to lose 2 of their best players, but both could be coming to the Premier League. But so again, Zirkzee is not actually, it's not just because Zirkzee had a good season last year or he hasn't really featured at the Euros. Man United, Arsenal, and Chelsea have all been linked to Zirkzee now for a good 18 months or so. So these are talented players that Bologna picked up ahead of time and are now just being sort of plucked away from Bologna because there is more money elsewhere, and there's potentially more ambition. So yeah, I think you guys have picked up a good player, and I'm excited about the prospect of Zirkzee as well. A very different profile, a very different style of number 9 to that of Rasmus Højlund. I don't think Rasmus is ready to play for us week in, week out yet. We saw towards the end of last season when he was coming on from the bench, he was having far more impact in games. But I also like the fact that we're not signing someone that's similar to him in terms of how he plays football. I think it gives us a different dimension. It means they can play together at times. And that's like yourselves, that's looking to be somewhere between a 35 and 40 million pound deal. And considering how expensive transfers are at the moment, I mean, West Ham have just spent 40 million pounds on Max Kilman, who's a good player. I'm not saying he isn't a good player. He's a decent football player. But, getting someone like Calafiori, getting someone with the talent of a Joshua Zirkzee for less money than a Max Kilman, I think, for me, that's decent. Again, and I know Max Kilman, and Max Kilman's a centre-back as well. But, that's not a dig. I'm not digging out Max
proven, I'm just saying.
But I'm saying Max Kilman's good, but to be getting young talent that's looked at as, especially Calafiori, where the ceiling's really high, to get him for a similar price, that's good business, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's why a lot of the time, if you're shopping in the foreign markets in Europe, it's going to be cheaper than shopping in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? If Calafiori was buying him from a Premier League club, how much would he cost?
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. Great point. I'm not having a dig at Max Kilman. I actually think Max Kilman's a decent signing. I think
that's a really good signing, man. If I was a West Ham fan, I'll be happy with that, man. I think he's a good.
I think a lot of us are just a little bit. I'm in an iron on the price. Do you know what I mean? There are positives.
No, but Lawless, what did you want to get him for then? 20 million? Like he's.
I would have thought like 30 mil. 35
yeah, but he's English. He's young. He's been one of Wolves' most consistent players. Gareth Southgate's not even looked at him. I mean, to put like Dunk and players like that ahead of him is scary, in my opinion. I think he's a really good centre half, and I hear a lot of good things from him. A lot of the Wolves players, fans, don't want him leaving. I think it's a great signing for West Ham, and if you get him and Todibo that you're linked with as well, that's a really good centre half pairing, bro. Yeah. Really good.
I saw Man United link with him, but they can't sign him because of the whole.
We're taking you away. We're taking you away for the court over it.
Wow, there's a lot of.
But I make us right to because the RB clubs have been allowed to sell players between themselves when they're both in the Champions League, and they're saying we can't. So there needs to be a thorough investigation and it needs to be challenged. If it's the rule, it's the rule. But then how were Leipzig able to sign Šeško? Man City have traded amongst themselves. I know they're not in the same competition, but I think the club are right to challenge it. If that makes, as long as we're paying fair market value, then I don't see any issue. Now, someone said, "Well, what if you reject other clubs' bids?" Well, are you telling me if there was a star that was playing for Girona, the Man City group would allow Man United to buy him? No. So, again, we have to be very, very. I don't have an issue with the multi-club thing, so I'm not having a dig at anyone that does it. But Man United can't be the first team out of all these multi-club programs to not be able to trade amongst themselves where everybody else does. So that's why I think it's right to challenge, because the rules seem a little bit weird to me.
Yeah.
But
that's a good question. What about the consequences of Man United losing? Yeah, are there consequences, or are you just going to have spent some money and not got what you want, and they go, no, you can't?
Yeah. I mean, it's not something I think we can be punished for. I think it's challenging a ruling, which I suppose it's different because it's a UEFA ruling, and it isn't a ruling that we've essentially signed up to, as in the Premier League. We're not a Premier League member. I think UEFA is a little bit different. So clubs don't have a vote, I don't believe, on UEFA's rules. I think the circumstances are a little bit different there. But again, as a United fan, I look at it and I say, well, that makes. But again, if we were stopping City from having sponsors that we were letting Arsenal, Man United, and Liverpool have, I would absolutely back City for challenging the Premier League. You say, well, hang on, it ain't fair if they can't have it and we can. So that's all my. And a lot of people have said to me, I keep saying it every day in the comments, but it's because your boards are the same. No, there isn't a single member on the Man United board or football decision-making team at United that matches anybody at Nice. It's completely different people. So I need an explanation on that. But yeah, Kilman, mate, I think Kilman's a good signing for you. I really, really do. I think he's a really good bit of business. A really, really good bit of business. I really do. You mentioned we mentioned Man City a minute ago. A couple of stories that have been sent through to me. Links have been sent through to me while we've been streaming. Talk that a personal terms have been agreed for KDB, and a big offer has been made from one of the Saudi clubs for Ederson as well. They haven't signed anybody yet, other than one of their own players from within the City group. And there's a lot of talk they're not going to sign very many people, but they could lose KDB and Ederson. How damaging do you think that could be for Man City next year to lose two players of that level and of that ilk?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I rate Pep and I'd still have them down as favourites just because of Pep Guardiola and how good they've been. But losing those two that for the past, 6-7 years have been pivotal to how they play, that's going to be hard to replace. Now, we always say this, don't we, Terry, every single year? Oh, they'll miss Gabriel and they'll miss Jesus and Zinchenko. They'll miss Sterling. They'll miss Gundogan. They'll miss Mahrez, but they still go and win trophies, right? We do this a lot. But these two are not in that ilk. These two are the best, two of the best players they've got. I think Ortega is a fantastic goalkeeper. I really do. I think he's by far the best backup goalkeeper in the league, right? But he's not Ederson. Ederson has been the reason Manchester City have played out from the back for the last 5-6 years beautifully. Ederson's very underrated in what he's brought to Manchester City. And KDB, I mean, I don't need to say anything. I mean, that is an unbelievably bad move if he does leave. And I know that he's getting on 32, 33, whatever it be, but you don't sell KDB unless you can't walk anymore. Do you know what I mean? That's how good the player is. So I thought he was staying at Man City. I've not seen the rumours to suggest that he might be off to Saudi as well. If they lose these two, this is really, really good for Arsenal and for other clubs fighting for the title next year, because it is, going to have to see what they do to replace those players. Now, it might be that they go and get Diogo Costa from Porto to replace Ederson, and we're all like, that's a shame because he's one of the better goalkeepers around. It might be that they go and replace KDB with Musiala, someone mad like that, or Florian Wirtz. So Man City got the ability to do that. You know, a lot of people are sleeping on that they might lose those two, but they've always replaced, or they've always found some way in which it hasn't affected them. So I'm not going to sit here and say, wow, this is definitely not going to be Manchester City's year because they've lost two of their better players, because we've done that before. But I think they'll miss KDB and they would miss Ederson for sure. They're absolute quality players and have been for the best part of 5 or 6 years now. So yeah, it'd be a blow if they lost them. But I wouldn't not make Man City favourites still, even if they lost those two players, because that's how good Pep is.
But surely, like, if Man City are going to be selling KDB and Ederson, surely it's not out of their control. Do you know what I mean? Surely it's not like, oh no, there's nothing we can do. They're forcing their way out, and we want to keep them, and they want to leave. I feel like if they're letting those players go, it's because they are confident in what they're bringing in as replacements. Like, that's all part of the strategy, right? So we get big Saudi money for these players, and we go and get, say, I don't know, Bruno Guimaraes or someone like that, or whoever it is, Costa. All these, like, they've got a plan in place, rather than, like I said, with a lot of other clubs, say like Palace. Oh no, we've got to sell Elise because Elise, really wants to leave, and if we keep him, he's going to be massively unhappy. And now we've got to try and replace him. Man City are a well-run club, so I don't think it's all doom and gloom for them. It's just about what they bring in. But it's a case of maybe I don't think KDB will kick off if they decide no, we need to keep you. I think he'd be happy to stay, but yeah, we'll have to see. He's getting on as well. Obviously he's been in a few seasons now. He's picked up injuries at key times. He's been able to come back and make an instant impact. So if they could get a player that can, I don't think they're going to get anyone as good as him in his prime, but someone that can stay fit for most of the season and be reliable, I think that'd be great. So
yeah, I hear both of you. I think that if they both get not forced to say that's the wrong wording, but if they stay, I don't think there'll be a big kickoff. It's intriguing because they could bring in the top level name replacements, but you're probably looking at the best goalkeeper and the best midfielder in their club's history. And I know that some may say Yaya, some may say David Silva. But when you look at the trophies they've won, the records they've broken, the consistency they've had, they're two of the best. Most clubs, and this is going to be the interesting test for City, when they lose the best they've ever had, genuinely there's a drop-off. Doesn't mean they can't win titles still. Doesn't mean they won't be a very good team still. I'm intrigued. The amount of games, even last season when he was coming off the bench, the amount of games where KDB comes on and he changes it, and he consistently changes it. As a rival fan, if those and look, Ederson, his ability to play it from the back, very good shot stopper, but his ability to play it from the back and the way that makes them knit together, I don't know if there is anybody else in the world who is as good as him across the board. So it becomes, although Pep's still there and they will sign quality, like genuinely, is there another midfielder who's technically gifted, is physically good? He's good physically, KDB, with the way he runs and he sprints. I know he's had some injury problems, and with the consistency of output. Like, who is that guy? And that's where they may bring somebody in that's as good technically or as good physically, but are they going to be a creative monster like him? KDB's numbers, coupled with every other facet of him, is crazy good. And listen, I hope they don't find a replacement as a Man United fan. That they're in a good position to do it. But history dictates that typically when your best players from your best era leave, there's a slight regression that comes, because timing's important as well, because there will be another KDB, but has he already signed for somebody else? Has he already signed to another club before KDB? Do you get where I'm coming from? So there aren't very many, and this is the thing. There aren't 5, 6, 7 KDBs in the world at any one time. There's 2 or 3 a push at any one time, and if they're already elsewhere, if they're already at other football clubs, there's sometimes very little that you can do. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how this one plays out. The Saudis are really pushing hard for them, offering them massive money. And what I was told by Big Steve actually at the end of the season is KDB will leave at the very least next year. So either way, it's either one more season or he's going to go. So I think it's watch this space on him. I don't think he's going to, the way it reads right now, it doesn't look like he's going to sign a new deal. So
they've had time to plan though. Like I said, they should have been like from a couple of seasons ago, start thinking ahead and thinking of at least last season life without KDB. So if they've even got him for one more season, there's no excuse. Like you said, things could happen. That guy they had their eye on could have got snapped up by someone else, whatever. But they should have options. Do you know what I mean? So, and be ready for it.
No, I agree.
I want them all to go, man. I want Bernardo going. I want KDB going. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's just get rid of all of them. They had their time at City. Let's just leave them all. But listen, I agree with what Lawless is saying. They've had time to look at this. I still don't know if he will go, but if the reports are suggesting that he is going to, then he'll be a massive miss for Man City, man, because he's a top player, one of the best the Premier League's ever seen, man. I've got to say it.
And the thing is, people saying they'll definitely replace him. Well, look, they haven't replaced Mahrez yet. They didn't replace Gundogan last year. Doesn't mean they won't in the longer term, but there's been a number of players that have left. No, there never is. No matter how good the manager, no matter how well run you are, the difference is with City is if they do make a mistake, they will act to rectify it quickly. They won't sign a KDB replacement. Say it is Danny Elmo. Someone put it in the comments, and he doesn't work. They won't give him 5 years of failure, then think about replacing him. He'll get a year, 18 months. You look, Mateus Nunes already looks done, and if it wasn't for the situation with Paqueta, out of there. Now, Jack Grealish, I know he had a decent season in the treble-winning year, but he's 3 years in, and they look like they're going to move him on because he hasn't hit the consistent heights they need. You know, Doku last year looked good on the eye, didn't deliver enough. If he has another season next year, like the one that's just gone, he'll be facing, he'll be walking the plank. You know, he might get one more year. And we know this because they've done interviews, like the hierarchy at City have done these interviews and spoke about how every player, every member of staff essentially gets 2 years max to show they're of the standard. If they're not, we move them on. So there's no guarantees you're going to find the new KDB straight after KDB. You know, some clubs are literally searching for the new, West Ham have been looking for the new Bobby Moore for 40, 50 years. And that's not even a dig. It's just the truth. And you always think it's going to come, and it doesn't. Man United have been looking for so many players since our last good generation, and it hasn't happened. So, yeah, it's going to be intriguing. So someone here says Fab's tweeted for Arsenal again. Is it the same tweet from earlier? Maybe the same tweet. Is it the same one from earlier? Nothing new. Man like Dan Potts has got that on refresh. When's my guy coming? When's he coming in?
What's happening?
Yeah,
When's he coming in?
It's the same one. Boys, very very quickly, because I know you've got to shoot soon, Potsy. Who's winning the games today? You've got France, Portugal. Who you going with, mate?
It's going to be France, isn't it? Surely it's going to be France, straight up. Portugal,
Yeah,
good. I don't think they're on the level of France.
Yeah, I'm with Lawless, and I haven't been impressed with either of these sides. I've got to say this. I haven't been massively impressed by Portugal or France. You look at their squad, you should be impressed by them because, you know, along with England, they got one of the best squads. But for me, I think France will somehow find a way and they will sneak through and Cristiano will be crying again.
Yeah, it's gonna be a mad one. The thing is, though, I feel
if he's
like
allowed
whoever,
to cry, that is, if he's allowed to cry, sorry, that is, of course, if he's allowed to cry.
I think whoever comes out of this is gonna be clear favourites and probably the winner. Like I said, I think when you as a team have those tough games and overcome them, I think it makes you better and makes you more prepared. Whereas, like you look at England with that soft route to the final. If England get to the final and play one of these teams, they've gone through more difficult games. They're sharper on it, you know. Iron sharpens
Look at the
iron.
Netherlands, by the way. The Netherlands come third in their group. They must have woke up that morning and thought, how the hell are we put on this side of the group? We come third in our group. Like, we've got to get past these players to get to a final. What a route to the final they've got with England. That is unbelievable, isn't it? And yeah, you're right. I mean, later on, that's the later on game, innit? Portugal, France. First of all, it's Spain, Germany. That is going to be wicked. That is going to be the game.
Spain, Germany, I can't wait for it. Can't wait.
Yeah, that is going to be quality. I don't know where to call that one. I'm going to go Spain. I've been so impressed with them. But Germany, they've got some they've got some killers in that team, man. But Spain, I've been really impressed, man. That Yamal is a pleasure to watch. Nico Williams, likewise. Rodri absolutely bosses it in there. Yeah, man. I'm going to go Spain. Just.
Do you know what? If I remove my sort of English, not bias, but desire, I would say, around wanting us to win it, even though I don't think we will, I would love Yamal to keep delivering. Maybe add some goals and win this tournament with Spain, because it's unprecedented history. Like, we weren't alive, none of us on the stream, and probably barely anybody watching, when 18-year-old Pele burst onto the scene at a World Cup. But a 16-year-old boy, and he has been, you could argue, he's been the player of the tournament. He's certainly been Spain's best player in my humble opinion. Crossing's brilliant, dribbling's great, skills for days, great engine on him, considering he's, you know, if he could perform the set quarters, semis, and final, maybe score a couple of goals along the way, it doesn't guarantee that he's going to have a long and fruitful career like a Pele did. And I'm not making that claim, but it would just be something great from a fan of sport in general to witness an unprecedented achievement, if you get where I'm coming from. Something that, you know, maybe if he does go on to have a great career, and you might be sitting there with your kids or your grandkids in, you know, 30, 40 years time, and say, and a documentary comes on TV, and I'll be lucky enough to say I was here, but, you know, I watched this, I saw this in real time and kind of speak about it. I remember speaking to my dad and, you know, like granddad, about the Pelés and the Maradonas and the players of that era. Like, as a United fan, I speak to him about Best and Charlton, just trying to understand what the hype was like around them and what people thought of them. And, you know, it was just something. All I've ever had of that is that towels from other people. It would be amazing to witness something historic ourselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I hope he goes all the way. Like, you know, I mean, unless he signs for a team I hate, I hope he goes on to have a great career. So good luck to him. But I think the hometown, I give it to the home country team, the home nation, Germany. It's like I said, it is going to be an excellent game. We're hyping the game up now. It's probably going to be a shit game the way we're hyping it.
Yeah,
that's usually how it goes.
I actually think the France-Portugal game would be more open and end-to-end. I think Spain and Germany may be more cagey because they are both good. And you see it in the Prem, when two decent teams generally, and they're both in good form play, it's very rarely is it an end-to-end. So Liverpool and City kind of buck the trend a little bit on that, but very rarely in history has it been an open, flowing, free attacking game. But I hope it is. I hope both of them are.
Look at Liverpool, Man United, like hyped as one of the best, biggest, you know, games ever, the rivalry, all of that. They always hype it up before, and it's usually one of the worst games in football to watch. One of those boring games.
In fairness, the 2 games at Old Trafford this year were pretty good.
Yeah. This did, like you say about bucking the trend. This time it did, yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I do hear on that. A couple of super chats before we end. First one says, Lawless, last season was Calafiori's first season at centre back. He's what Mr. Big Piece. I love it. Kivior could be on his way out, which is
there's a lot of rumours that Juventus are now sniffing around Kivior and some of the Italian clubs because Calafiori is coming in. And I don't love Kivior. I think he's an all right player. I think he's a good squad player. He's certainly not good enough to start. But we can't get rid of everybody, man. We've got to be bringing in players to improve the squad. We can't just replace players. So, that's where I'm at with that.
Big up, Kate. 8 months as a member of the Football
Big up,
Terror.
Kate.
Thank you so much. Thank you. As soon as you criticize your own publicly about Ian Wright, then everyone piles on. The fan base are just trying to protect Saka from these vultures.
Don't get me wrong. There are some rival fans that seem to want to pile on Bukayo Saka at times. There definitely is, right? I get that. But I don't think this is just a bit extreme to assume that that's what Ian Wright was doing, because that was not what he was doing at all. He was suggesting that Saka's an option.
Do you care if Chelsea fans go, oh, look, see, Palmer's better because Saka's playing left back? Who gives a shit what online fans say? Why are you so pressed that you're going to have a go at your own legend because you're scared that Chelsea fans will be going in on Saka, or Man United fans will be? It's just so weak.
What I did like was when the comments from Rice would come in, there was Zirkzee. I mean, one of the best midfielders I've ever seen play football, to be fair, not just in the Premier League. Awful pundit. Comes out with, that rubbish about Rice, and then Rice the next day goes and puts in a man of the match performance. That's what I want to see. Just shut up, Paul. I'm playing football, and I'm now picking up man of the match award. So for me, that was a good reaction. You don't see Rice
wetting himself like some of the fans. He comes out and says, "Yeah, listen to these guys. It's their opinion."
But that's just it. And what you probably would find Paul Scholes would have said after the game is, "That's what I want to see from you, Rice." And that's what it's about. Sometimes people, we do live in a weak society now. And I'm not talking about the football. I'm not talking about Saka, because Saka's not saying this. But we live in this weak society where people take criticism personally, as opposed to, well, this is how I can improve. And I give my staff criticism all the time. The boys over here have done a brilliant job. I've gone, guys, we need to get more of this out, and don't do that. Post it this way. Try this. Flush the toilet. A bit dirty, some of these lads. Like they're young, but it's you give the criticism. We've got a great respect amongst us, and then they go out and perform better, and everybody's happy. That's how life should be. I see that, and maybe it's because these people, I think it's a bit of a reflection of how they feel about themselves in real life that makes them do it. I just read that the Wimbledon will miss the next game in this tournament and the first game of the next one. Well, he'll miss the first game in the next tournament if they go out tonight, because he's got a 2-game international ban. But if they go through, he misses the semi-final as well. He can only play if Turkey stay in. He can only play in the final now if he remains. But by the way, because where we're staying here in Germany, lots of Germans about, of course, but very heavily populated Turkish area. I want England Turkish. So we were out playing football yesterday. A few of us had our England shirts on. Really good. It's actually quite cool. We had a group of Dutch lads that came over and played football just behind us. And then there was these sort of Turkish and sort of German families that were walking past. They all sort of stopped and watced. We had all the cameras out doing it. It was quite good. A little audience. It was the battle and the pressure really came on. Do you know what I mean? And some I assume she was a grandmother, but some elderly lady come and sat down, and she kept on shouting stuff in German and clapping. Didn't know what she was saying, but it was great. It was buzzing. So there we go. I hope it's England Turkey in that semi-final. It'll be an amazing atmosphere around here. Boys, look, I want to say thank you to both of you for coming on. It's a slightly shorter show today, as we know the football starts very, very soon. We're live after both games today. Go and check out our Instagram account. You'll get loads of content going up there today with the guys there at the fan park in Düsseldorf for the next game. So go check that out for the build-up and some genuine atmosphere from what's going on. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.